Well, hello. Today we are going to go over runner etiquette. And if you're new to running, this is a video you definitely need to watch because running etiquette can be like when you go bowling for the first time and you're walking up to throw your ball and the person next to you gives you the side eye, because it is bowling etiquette for experienced bowlers to know that you do not walk up to the lane at the same time as the person in the lane next to you. But I'm going to help you avoid those side eyes and those glances, those dirty glares that you would get if you broke any of these rules, because not all of this is something that you think about if you're not a runner and you don't run all the time. They are stuff that you learn over time. But I'm going to give you all the etiquette rules so that you can be a considerate runner when you go out for your runs on the trail, on the pavement. Even during a race, I'm going to do a separate race series, but even during a race, these things will be helpful to you. So if you're an experienced runner, you may need this refresher. If you're a new runner, you definitely need to stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. Hey, and welcome to Temple Running with MJ Smith. I am MJ Smith, and happy International Women's Day. And as you can see, I'm representing one of our strong, iconic women in history for us, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or Notorious RBG, she is also known as. I did a run in her honor last year, so I definitely learned a lot about her while listening to her autobiography during the run. It was really cool to kind of get that sense of what she's done for me to be able to do the things that I get to do today. So just want to dedicate this episode to her and to all our strong women out there and in our history who are making and have made things better for women all over the world. So we are going to go into this series. But before we go any further in this, if you have not hit that subscribe button, please go ahead and subscribe so you can see more videos like this. As I said in the intro, today we are going to talk about running etiquette. I'm going to try to make this as succinct but as informative as possible because I know you don't have a lot of time and I'm not trying to waste it. But I want you to get this information, so let's get into it. The first tip I'm going to give you, I actually went through this in my video, Running Your Mouth. I'll probably link it here so you can go to it. You get my full opinion on this situation. But I think it is courteous to acknowledge other runners. I also understand that some people get in the zone, but the fact of the matter is we're all supposed to be aware of our surroundings. So if I have another runner approaching me and I can see him a quarter mile away approaching me, like when I get up to that person, I'm not going to totally stare ahead and act like I don't see them. The proper thing to do is at least make eye contact with them. If they make eye contact with you, give them a wave, a nod, something that doesn't even take that much energy. I'm not telling you to stop your run and have a conversation with the person, but runner camaraderie means something out here, okay? That person got up and they're doing something just like you got up and decided to do something with your day. So just kind of share in that moment. Give them a wave, a nod. I think it's very rude to stare straight ahead and act like you don't see the other person running past you. I wouldn't break my neck or my ankle trying to chase somebody down or to see them. But if you pass each other, I think it is the courteous thing to do, just to acknowledge another human's presence, especially another runner's presence. The next thing I want to go over is traffic rules. If you are running in a place that is high traffic, even if it's not high traffic, but there are any cars that are going to be coming or likely coming while you're running, then you need to abide by the traffic rules. That means run against the traffic, cross at crosswalks, because most runners who get hit are crossing in the middle of a street instead of at the crosswalk. If you cross at the crosswalk, that is the safest way for you to get across the street. And don't just jump out there because and there's traffic coming in, you're trying to dodge the traffic because you don't want to mess up your tempo and you don't want to slow down or lower your heart rate or, whatever you got going on your watch. If you are trying to do a certain time situation, you need to make sure you're in a area where there is not a lot of traffic. It is not up to the traffic to ditch and dodge you so that you can make your pace or whatever it is that you are trying to do. You need to be in a closed, confined environment for those kind of drills. So if you are doing sprints or something like that, high traffic areas are not the best place for that in an area where you need to cross the street. Because you will need to, it is best for you to stop at traffic lights. You also want to use the sidewalk if there is one, especially in super high traffic areas. As long as it's not against the law and there is a sidewalk, use it. I try to use it all the time. I know that with COVID, it's hard because sometimes I have to dart into the street because there's another walker or runner on the sidewalk and I'm trying to give them their space. That's the other thing. Especially in this COVID era, what I find is that I am coming up on a person that is actually facing against the traffic, but they expect me to be the one to go out in the street to go around, or at least it appears that way because they don't move. And I think the proper etiquette is for the person who is facing the traffic to be the one to step out in the street, because then you can see when a car is coming. I won't see a car coming up behind me if I'm going out trying to go around. So that's a new one, and it's kind of a personal one to me. If you've been running during COVID, then you would probably agree. If you don't agree, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. But I really feel like the person who is facing the traffic should be the person who steps in the street to go around if you're running on the sidewalk and you have a runner or walker coming towards each other and you're trying to give them their six feet of distance for social distancing. So let me know what you think. You may not agree, and it's okay, but that's how I feel about it. All right, so you all have heard me say over and over again, I love to run in headphones. I love to run with music or audiobooks or a podcast or something playing in my ear. But the thing about that is you have to make sure that your music is not so high that you cannot hear what is going on around you, okay? There are going to be, especially if you're like running on a trail, there'll be bike bells. If you're sharing a trail with bikes, there'll be other runners coming up behind you. It could be another bike coming up on you on the sidewalk. It doesn't even have to be a trail. If you're running where there is traffic, something could be going on. You need to be able to hear what is going on around you. And I said that in the safety video as well. That is a courteous thing, and that's also a safety thing. So just make sure you're keeping your volume at a level where you can still have awareness and hear what is going on around you, because that is very important. And if you decide to run with a group and you're running on a path or a sidewalk that is narrow, make sure that you're not running 3 and 4 abreast. Even if you're running in the street, you need to run single file or 2 abreast, because you need to keep your footprint on that trail as narrow as possible so that other people can pass you. They may be coming behind you. They may be coming from in front of you and going the opposite direction. But either way, you need to leave adequate space on the side of you. So even if you're in a group and you all want to talk, you're going to have to talk. The proper thing to do would be to talk, just group together, but not going all the way across, because then you're blocking and making it hard for other runners, especially in this COVID environment, who are trying to stay 6 feet distanced. To go around your group may put them in a spot where they're risking their safety or something like that just to get around your group. So just be courteous and think about that. If you run in a group of 2 or more, 3 or more people, just ensure that you're giving adequate space for runners to get around you. Okay, I think this is one of the more obvious ones, but it must be said because people tend to forget that our run trails are also people's property. So we have to be courteous in that way. And I tell you, in COVID right now, like, I feel bad if I'm trying to go around somebody and I have to step on somebody's grass. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to step on these people's grass, but I also don't have any sidewalk so that I can dart around this person and give us both the proper distance that we need. So just be aware that all this grass, all this land that we're running by, belongs to somebody. It's somebody's property, and we should not litter and leave our things behind. It is not a place for people to go and relieve themselves. These are people's property, private property. You shouldn't be relieving yourself anywhere where there are people anyway. And I know that some runners do that on the way to going where they want to go, but make sure you dip off where nobody can see you. But definitely don't make that on the side of somebody's house or on somebody's property. I think that one's obvious, but I just thought I should mention it because it happens. People say, oh, there's a bush or there's a tree, and they forget that there's a house there too, and somebody owns that bush and that tree. So it is not okay for you to go and do that in somebody's yard. So watch where you're throwing. And actually, one of my etiquette tips is do not litter at all. If you're doing a long run and you have gel packs or fuel or chomps or whatever it is that you have with you, make sure that you are putting that back in your pouch or in your vest or whatever it is that you have that you were carrying it in. Put the wrapper back with you and discard it when you get to your home or to a trash can. It is not okay to litter our streets with your gels and your goos, and if it's not a race. If it's a race, you can let that go because there are volunteers there to clean it up. But when you are running on training runs or just, on a virtual run through your neighborhood, you don't have those people to do that for you. So you need to ensure that you are prepared to carry your trash back home with you. And I know some of us don't want to hear it, but the rule of thumb is that we should defer to the fast runners. So even though we all have the right to be out there and run our own race and run our own pace, we still have to be aware that if we are a slower runner, and everybody's a slower runner than somebody except the fastest runner in the world, right? So everybody has somebody that's slower than them. So if I'm a slow runner and I'm running slower than the person that's coming up behind me, if I know he's coming up behind me, which if I'm aware of my surroundings, I should move to the side and let him pass. Especially if we're on a narrow trail or something like that, I need to make sure I give him enough room, him or her, enough room to pass me because they are going faster. And if you're on a track, you want to make sure you stick to the outer lanes if you're walking, because walkers matter too, or if you're jogging slowly, you want to stick to the outer lanes because the inner lanes are for the people who are going a little bit faster. And speaking of track etiquette, you also need to know that most tracks, the direction to run is counterclockwise, but some tracks will actually post rules and the direction may change on any given day. So just ensure that you read the rules at the track. Otherwise, rule of thumb, counterclockwise. If you're going slower, outer lanes. And I think you'll be okay if you do a little track running with those rules in mind. And if you are running on a street that doesn't have a sidewalk, because sidewalk is your first option, remember, that's what we're going to consider first. But if they don't have a sidewalk and they have a street, if they don't have a sidewalk, they have a street. If you have to run in the street, try not to run in the bike lanes, especially if the bike lanes get a lot of traffic, because those are their lanes. They're not made for us to run in. So I know we need to share the road, but don't run in bike lanes in general, okay? If you see a bike lane, it does not mean that that's a place where cars will not hit you while running. It is a bike lane, so you might get hit by a bike. So just be be courteous of their space. So stay out of the bike lanes if you can. That could be a dangerous accident as well. They're not expecting you to be in their lanes because it's a bike lane. So if you have to run right outside the bike lane, if you don't have a sidewalk, then that is probably the best thing. That is the most courteous thing to do. And when going back to when I said that you should always defer for the faster runners, you also should be passing with care if you are one of those faster runners. So you should be staying to the right and passing on the left. If you're one of those faster runners, or even if you're a slower runner, if you get up to somebody and you need to pass them, you're going to pass on the left and then get right back over on the right because there might be somebody else coming in the opposite direction. So we don't stay, on that side of the road. If you are on a trail or even a sidewalk, you want to make sure you keep the other side open for runners coming from the other direction. And the last tip I have for you today is something that has probably, especially if you're one of those runners that run in all different weather, sometimes you step outside and your nose just starts running, or just the act of running gets stuff flowing for you. I understand this can be uncomfortable. You get it where it comes down your throat and then you have to get it out, right? My thing about this is just watch where you're doing it. We talked about people's property. We talked about when you're on a trail or when you're on a sidewalk sharing with other runners. Don't do it around other people, period, basically. If I have to clear my nose or my mouth of anything, I usually will wait until I am like nobody is in sight that I can see. And then you want to make sure you do it towards the street, not in somebody's yard. Don't spit towards somebody's house. It's not cool. So just be mindful of that. I know you just want to get it out, but it's not okay to spit where other people have to run. It's not okay to spit toward other runners, on people's lawns or their property. Just even if you have to dip off where you're running a little bit to get out of the scene of everybody and anybody's property, then that's what you need to do so that you can take care of yourself. But definitely, let's try to keep the snot and the mucus away from other people and off of other people's property. So those are the tips I have for you today. I may have missed some, so if I did, please make sure you let me know in the comments below and share them with the group. And if you don't agree with any of the etiquette tips I gave today, let me know that too. I like to hear different perspectives on this because we are all sharing the road together. So if I do see somebody not abiding by runner etiquette, I like to get a better understanding as to why they don't think that that is the most courteous thing to do. So definitely let me know what you all think about these tips. If you have not already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the like button if you like this video and you'd like to see more like it. And also hit that bell so that you can be notified when I do a new upload. I upload at least one video a week and you don't want to miss any of them. So please make sure you hit that bell. Also, if you are not already, please check me out on my running blog. I blog on basically all the social media platforms, Facebook, IG, Twitter. Just check me out on any of those and follow my journey. And I also like to follow some of your journeys. So please check me out there. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate every moment, every minute, every second that you spend with me on this channel. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you back here again. And until then, are you in?